So this is the project file for Professional Racist. There is a lot going on. There's so many layers. I think this is the most amount of layering that I've done for a track, and it's mainly because of the synths. We have a lot to go through. Also, this video has no script and it's barely being edited since all of the effort is going into the main videos as usual. So before we talk about this project, we need to talk about the origin of this track, which is this. This track was originally known as Cutting Board, and I did talk about the history of this track in a comment, in a reply to someone's comment on the Professional Racist video. So this track, Cutting Board, it was supposed to be part of a game that I was working on. This game is now dead. It's been canceled since I have a better idea, which is now known as Geneva. But for this track, it was supposed to be for a joke level called Flat Fucking Field. That is literally a flat field that takes 10 minutes to cross as a joke. And this track would be playing. And I wanted this track to contrast with the rest of the soundtrack, which had piano and violins, and it was more mellow. So for this, I had distorted electric guitars. And I started working on this track in 2022. It was quite a while ago. I was not good at making music at the time, and I was pretty much using everything for free. This DAW, digital audio workstation that you're seeing, is LMMS up here. And it was free and it worked. It's not very good. FL Studio is way better. It can do way more. But at the time, I didn't spend any money on anything. So this worked enough for now. And I was using free sound fonts like this one, which is Metal GTX. It's an SFZ sound bank sound font. And it sounds like... If you use it for layering, it's not bad. But for leads, it's not that good. It's just better to have a higher quality plugin or just actually record it yourself, which is what I decided to do later on once I realized I could just not make this guitar sound good. So that's when I decided to learn guitar at the beginning of 2023. And then in the middle of 2023, I decided to cancel that game. But I could still repurpose some of the tracks for other stuff. And around 2023, I was coming up with ideas for YouTube videos where I would combine art and music together in a interesting, funny way. And I had this project still here, so that eventually turned into Professional Racist. Oh yeah, I was also planning on Cutting Board with this track was also supposed to originally be Eurobeat too. I was messing around with just normal kind of metal rockish stuff, but I did want to turn it into Eurobeat for the soundtrack version. So I already had that in mind, and I already knew that hey, I could make a reference to Initial D with the and drifting. So then that's how that turned into Professional Racist later on. But this is what the file sounded like in 2022. So I'll just play this for you. And then we'll talk about the differences and what carried over to the actual final track. Oh wait, hold on. There's a weird thing that happens where I have to set the one of the articulations by playing it first. So here it is actually. So this sounds pretty similar to the final version in terms of just the note choice, not in terms of like the actual audio quality and the choice of sounds, but the notes are pretty similar. And I think if you cut out this section right here, the structure is pretty much the exact same. We have this intro section, and then we have like one of the verse, and then we have the build up right here. And there is one thing that I carried over pretty much exactly, which is this high passed low guitar part. That is like, I think, the exact same setup that I used to do that. Same exact like plugin chain that I just copied over to the final project. And a lot of the notes are pretty similar. I think the melody is just it's a little different. And this ending sounds almost exactly like how it does in the final track. So at the time, I didn't like this track, but then I turned it into this version, the final version, after I had the idea to combine it with the car, the Toyota AE86, have it drift in a school zone, and then I'll just have Eurobeat playing with that composition that I already had. And then we started working on this. I didn't have logs at the time. I think after Professional Races was when I started having text logs, so that's when I tracked like everything that I did and how I went through with this. But what I do know is that I started with the ending chorus first, and then I kind of worked back here. And since I already had that like intro, I just kind of like put it was not that hard to do, since I was basically just copying the intro after I had already done this. So in terms of composition, it was pretty simple. And in here, there isn't much demo piano. I think it might be due to the complexity and how many layers there are that I just decided to delete it. I don't feel like going through and checking all of these patterns to see if there is a demo left in here. And what I mean by demo is these piano sections that is sent to Keyzone Classic. Oh wait, actually this is a synth. This is not what I was talking about. But stuff like, oh wait, this is also not what I was talking about either. Anyways, we're just going to go through the beginning of this track, and we're going to go in order. So at the start, we have a we have a car startup. And what I did was I found a bunch of samples. Well, I just found like YouTube videos of the AE86 starting up, and I combined 3 of them together, and you get this sound. And then we have the other layers playing. For the bass, this is Omni bass, as I explained in the other video. It is playing really low, so you need like, if you're on your phone, I don't think you can hear this. You need like an actually good system that can play like sub frequencies to hear this. We also have another bass. Let's take a look at this. So we have Omni bass here, which same exact plugin that I used for No One Sleeps Tonight. I'm now using like a clean setting. And then we have this other one, which is the Citrus plugin, which is an FL Studio default synth plugin. I just like went through presets and found something that sounded good. And for a lot of this track, I have them working together and playing like the same thing, except like in this verse section. Oh yeah, actually, Omnibass only plays like in the intro. That's interesting, but it's probably just for some layering. Oh yeah, don't take what I say here, like the production style and like my decisions as advice, because at this time I'm still not good at doing this. So I didn't really exactly know what I was doing. And looking back at some of the stuff that I did, I probably would not have done that now. Now moving on to the synths, we have this pad. So moving here, all of these orange sections are synths, and they are all Surge XT synths. This is a free plugin. Looks like I found a preset, and then I just like made some modifications to it. Moving back here. Oh, we have some guitars. These are recorded guitars, since you can see the dry signal here. So this guitar is going through a pretty similar setup. Let's see. We have one pan in left and right that's being sent to a bus. We have Archetype Petrucci. This plugin is the same type of plugin as Archetype Tim Henson, which I used in No One Sleeps Tonight, but this has like some different amps and settings, and it's like a bit better for like more metal overdriven stuff. So that's why I have this for this track rather than the Archetype Tim Henson. Edison is the how I record, and then we have just an EQ that I think I accidentally touched and like brought it down. I don't think this was even like intentional. Same exact setup for the right channel, and then we have just an empty EQ that isn't doing anything. Moving back here, we have the soundfont guitar. This is the same exact soundfont guitar that I used in the old version, cutting board. And I brought it here. And I did explain, like in that comment that I was talking about earlier, that the reason why I decided to bring back the sound font was because it's easier. Because at the time I was not very good at guitar. Still not that good. But recording things was such a pain, and it was so slow to get a take. And even if I did get a take, it didn't sound that great. So I could layer some of these sound font guitars with some of the played ones to give it more depth. But I did also use the sound font guitar for some of the leads, which you will hear in the verse section, which I'll get to later. And this isn't being reinforced by actually played guitars. It's just the sound font. And it doesn't sound that great. But, I mean, in retrospect, now that I've gotten better and I can actually record guitars that sound decent and not garbage, this doesn't sound that great looking back. But given the resources and skill that I have, it was good enough. I decided to not actually record it and do this instead. So this guitar sounds like this. So actually, it turns out that this This is actually a lead that's playing in the intro. And then we have another set of guitars down here, which are, I think, they're doubling up with the recorded ones. I'll combine it with the recorded ones. That just makes it sound fuller. And combined with, wait, here are the leads. I turned on these automation clips that control the volume and some other parameters, like midway when I was playing that. So that's why there was a volume drop. And then everything together. So right here we have this guitar, this high-passed low guitar. That is the exact same setup that I used for cutting board. I think same exact plugins. Actually, let's go through the plugins right now. So over here are my channels and routes. We have a right channel, a mid channel, and a left channel. For some reason, the right channel is on the left and the left channel is on the right. I don't know why I did this. Yeah, it's just a bad production. So this is going through a free amp sim, and then it's also going through a cabinet. Wait, why did it flash? Oh. So if you don't know how guitars work, they're usually, this dry signal is being sent into an amp, which is being sent into a speaker cabinet simulator. And here, let me turn off the I'll turn off the cabinet so you can see what that sounds like if without a cab. Wait, wrong one. There. Yeah, it sounds really bad. So the point of having the cabinet is to make it, to take off a lot of that harshness. And this is the exact same setup that I used for the original, since I thought it'd be funny to bring it back. Now moving on to the intro. Wait a minute, what's this? I don't think I talked about this. Oh, there's also recorded guitars layering. So we have recorded leads on top of the not recorded ones, all playing at the same time. And then we get to the intro. And this is where we have a lot of synths. So we're going to be going through some of the main ones. So we have this intro. This is the, well, we have this main brass synth, which sounds a bit like this. Wait, nope. So this main synth has two components to it. Over here we have this one, which to make this preset, I just found like tutorials on how to get this type of sound. I don't remember exactly what I did, but looking at it, it looks like we have some sawtooth wave with I don't exactly remember what I did here, But all I did was copy tutorials that I found online. And they were using other synths. They weren't exactly using Surge XT, but the same principles still applied. On top of this, we also have an effect that is playing at the same time as that other synth. And it sounds like this if I solo it. And here's just the main synth by itself. Together, they sound like this. So what this effect does, it just gives it a little extra punch. It just makes that synth be heard a little bit better, and for some really fast runs, it gives it that like more percussive attack, which is what I was hearing in a lot of Eurobeat. And I think also the tutorials said to do that too. We also have another brass over here, which, hold on, let me unmute everything. It's like the same as the other main brass, except it's panned and it's only playing short bursts. We also have this pad, which is the same exact one from the intro. It's just playing the chords. Oh yeah, if you want to see the chord progression, it's this. At the time, I didn't even know music theory. I'm learning music theory right now, but I don't feel like analyzing what's going on here yet. We also have an arpeggio. So over here, let me see if I can find it. This one. This is another Citrus plugin, and it's a sequencer. If I hold like a note, it'll like arpeggiate it. And there's also like some auto panning going on. So if I play a chord, then it's going to arpeggiate between all of the notes I selected, as you see over here. So I have this. This is, let me find it. This is another sequencer. It's playing this specific rhythm. I think I just found it. Actually, I don't exactly know if this was a preset that I found or if I like made modifications to this. But either way, I liked how it sounded and it made it into the track. So here is what these synths sound like when combined. I'll just start playing them and like adding additional layers. Combined with bass. Combined with the intro brass. And then we also have drums down here. This is a really simple pattern. You've definitely heard it before. I think I just straight up took it from Eurobeat. Then we also have, oh yeah, I didn't talk about the drums. We're using FPC. I just found some samples built in, it looks like. Yeah, these are the built-in samples that came with FL Studio. It sounds good. It sounds like how it should sound. It gets the job done. And then we have the guitars, which are I think these are just playing the power chords. inside this MIDI file, there are, what you see down here are me setting the articulations. It's probably like going alternate between palm mute and sustain. And then the actual notes are being played up here, and this is just a power chord with the root, fifth, and root on top. So, altogether, sounds like this. I hope that after like showing you all these layers that you can go back and listen to it and like really pick out what's going on and like hear these like little details, because that's what I like doing. So, well, since I mean I wrote the track, so I know exactly like every detail that was put into it, but I can just like listen to it back and just like pick out different things, and it's fun. I like doing that. Anyways, next section. So we're using the bass, the sequencer, and the leads in this section. These leads sound like this. So I have this automation happening right here, and what you see is me automating the vibrato knob. Now at the time, I didn't know how a guitar vibrato is supposed to sound, so this actually sounds like garbage. This like it's not supposed to vibrato that quickly. But now I know not to do that. In this section, you can see a lot of the layers have been taken away, and that just gives it space. We're coming from this high energy section into like the verse, which is going to start off with like less energy. And then we get into the actual all of the synths come back. Well, a decent chunk of the synths come back. And then we get to this part. I'll just play from here so you can hear the transition. So up here we have a different brass being played. It's like the intro brass, except without the effect. And that sounds like this. Oh, oopsie. That repeats. Oh wait, I think I actually made a mistake when I talked about the other track. I think I said that I removed one section, but actually both of them are here. We have two, well, I would call it two verse sections, which is this and then this. It just repeats. Oh, we also have this transition. I didn't talk about the effects. And then we also have this one. We're using the exact same effects from the original project cutting board. Same exact samples that I used in the beginning of that track. And over here, we have a piano that is layered on top of the guitars. And that is being layered with this lead. Turn all of these on, plus the piano, and that sounds like this. I think I put the piano here just to add like extra depth, just to make it different from this first verse section. I think I'll play like some of these synths just so you can hear what these layers sound like. There's one more thing that I didn't talk about, which is this synth plugin. It just adds extra layer. Wait. Another Surge XT synth. I'll play everything here now so you can hear what this is doing. So that's playing on the left ear, left side. And then after all this, oh, we still have the guitars here. Oh wait, hold on. I gotta turn on this since it's not panned correctly. These tracks control the pan. There we go. And that everything all together sounds like this. Now we get to the build. And this is using this synth. Let's see what it's doing. So this synth is acting as a lead and as a pad at the same time. It sounds really open and airy, and it's like contributing to the vibe of this section. So this, let me find it. Where is it? This one. It's another Surge XT preset that I found and like made some modifications to. Let's see. We got some of the same synths from before. We're missing this stab brass. We're also missing the main brass section, which is why this section does sound very airy and open. So I'll play the synths together so you can like see, well, hear how that sounds together. Let's talk about the composition of this section. This is using a really standard chord progression that if you've watched anime, listen to that Japanese music, you've probably heard this chord progression before. This section is a little different because I have this diminished, but this 4, 5, 3, 6, and then 4, 5, 6 progression, pretty common, and it's found in Eurobeat a lot. It works perfectly here. And then at the end there is hold on, we have an augmented chord. Sounds very crunchy. And then we also, in this synth, we have this augmented run, which adds a lot of tension going into the chorus section. So moving on, I think I covered, oh wait, we have some additional layers down here. The guitar layers. It's outlining the same chord progression, just the root notes. So 4, 5, 3, 6. Actually, I don't know if this is in major. If this was major key, then it's 4, 5, 3, 6. But if it's minor key, then it's like something different. I don't know the exact theory of what's going on in this track, so I can't say. But I think it's 4, 5, 3, 6. Then we also have this actual recorded guitar that's layered on top of that one. Layered together. So now playing everything together in this section sounds like this. Oh yeah, you may have noticed that I'm not really talking about the drum and the bass that much because it's like it's really simple. They're just playing root notes. But then we also have this like little fill that I really like, this fill that I did. Oh, oops, wrong one. I like that fill. That sounds great. Because I like to have these like little fills in the gaps where there's nothing going on. Well, not much going on. It just sounds nice. And that just builds into like with the guitars very nicely. Now, moving on to the main section. Well, the chorus section. We also have this the return of this guitar. And then that goes into the chorus section. So now we're reintroducing all of the elements from the intro, but now it's back here. And then we also have some additional effects going on. This piano section that says piano chorus, ignore that. This has been muted, and I just never removed it. It's attached to some plugin that's been muted. So that's not anything. And this is where we also have actually recorded guitars in this section that are like playing the main leads. But we still also have some of the soundfont layers, as you can see down here. So going on to this brass playing the lead sounds like this. Hold on, let me like move this so you can see everything that's going on. in case you want to know what notes I'm using, if you want to learn from it and analyze it. That's why, I mean, I'm making these videos because as someone who makes music, it's really nice to see how tracks are made so you can understand what's going on, and I'll like take the techniques from it and learn from it. So anyways, here's the section. So it looks like we have a suspended chord going into a major, which sounds really nice. And I think you hear that this, you hear this suspended into major in a track like Deja Vu. So it was nice to reference that. I do want to talk about what's going on with the synths. We do have these little runs right here that I hear a lot in Eurobeat. I'll play that for... It sounds nice. It's what you hear a lot in Eurobeat. And stuff like this too. These like really fast, these 16 notes? Yeah, these are 16 notes. And another run here. Another run. We have the stabs coming back. Pads. Harp. More pad. And now let's talk about the composition of this. This is, again, the same exact 4, 5, minor third, minor 6 that you hear in a lot of Eurobeat and Japanese music. And then we have 4, 5, 6 happening here. And then at the end, we have 4, 5, major 6, which is the Picardy third. You can look into that. And that just sounds nice. It ending a chord progression, this type of chord progression like that sounds really very bright and happy. So let me combine this with this brass up here. We also have the bass here, playing really simple stuff. Following the root and jumping between octaves. And then the drums are playing, I think, the same exact pattern that we heard from the beginning. Yep, it's the same exact pattern from the beginning. And now we're getting into some of the recorded guitars. These are just simple power chords that are following what the bass is doing, following the chord progression. And then we have the soundfont guitars down here. Turn everything on. Combined with this, and then that repeats. Again, it's following the chord progressions, just following the root of the chords. And then all together it sounds like this. Now we move to the final part, which is my favorite part. I really like this ending. I wrote it first since I like it. Usually the stuff that I write first is what I end up... Actually, no. A lot of the times it's the second thing that I write, but I think starting off, I like to go with my favorite first. So this is where we have actually recorded guitars that actually sound that, well, they don't sound trash. I mean, I could make a lot of improvements to this. I could make this sound way better now. But in retrospect, this guitar part still sounds pretty decent. Not as garbage as the soundfont leads back here. Well, back here. And it looks like we have the same exact layers, synth layers that are playing at the same time. This brass is gone, and then it gets replaced by this. And we also have this effect going on. Wait, nope. Let me see if I can find where is this playing. Ah, this. What is this? Oh, it's a free synth that is, I think, modeled after some classic drum machine. Well, oh wait, this is not synth. This is a drum machine. And it's using the synthwave kit. And I heard effects like this in Eurobeat too. Oh, there's also this sweep effect. From the same sample pack that I found. Now let's go into the recorded guitars. Actually, hold on. Let's take a look at the mixer. So we're using Archetype Petrucci again, probably a different setting that's more meant for leads. Yep, we got some delay, we got some reverb playing. It's also being supported by what I think is another soundfont guitar. This is being fed into a bus called another lead bus, because this looks so messy. There's too much. This is so unorganized. I did get better with this later on. We have a simple bump in the higher area. And I'll just play what this sounds like. So we have a lead harmony, well, a melody and harmony. Oh, you can also see the dates that these are all recorded. February. Yeah, this was like done immediately after, well, about a week after I made No One Sleeps Tonight. And this ending, it looks like I decided to redo closer to the end in May. I think we also have some lead soundfont guitars here. So that's playing higher up. I think it's just doing what these recorded guitar parts are doing, but just an octave higher up. So playing together, it sounds like this. Oh wait, hold on. I think I gotta turn on some of this automation because it looks like I brought the volume down just a bit so it's not that loud. Yeah, turning on that automation makes this really faint. Yeah, it's so much quieter now. I mean, it just adds just a little bit extra. Now we also have this recorded chugging part. Well, not chugging. Power chords. Same exact thing as before. And then we have, this is the actual chugging that's going on. Oh, wait. Oh yeah, we have an interesting chord happening. Oh, let me take a look at what's going on here. Yep, this diminished chord. I think I did that before somewhere back here, but it sounds so spicy to have a diminished chord when there usually isn't. Usually just follow the 4, 5, 3, 6. Yeah, right here was where it played that diminished. It sounds so nice. And since it's a little unexpected. Oh yeah, in the middle of this section, we have a little effect, which is this thing right here. Oh, that's the effect brass, and that's we also have this. Ah, yes, the orchestral hit sample that I think some of you may have heard before in other tracks, not mine. So, altogether, it sounds like this. So what I do at the end is I stop the drums, which gives it space. I'll play that again so you can hear it. And then going back to the ending, which is actually the intro. It's like the same thing as the intro. Except I removed a few layers from it. So this bass layer is gone. This pad is gone. And I think that's it, but it just makes it slightly a bit more empty. So yeah, there's not much to say about the ending since it's basically what I already talked about for this intro, but just done again. So yeah, that's Professional Racist. And then let's see what we have over here on the side. That's the end of the track. I think it's just a lot of what you saw back here, but demoed in piano. Like, let's see. Yep, this is just the build-up. But demoed, and then I eventually split that into the two components. So yeah, this was Professional Racist. Very complicated project, lots of layers, lots of synths going on. Overall, I really like how this track turned out in terms of composition, but the production, that soundfont guitar, if I could go back and like fix it, that would have made things sound so much nicer, since recorded guitars like back here. This sounds decent. This has stood the test of time, and it doesn't sound that garbage that I notice it. Like when I listen back to this verse section, it just sounds off because that lead guitar it's just not that, it's not that good. And if you don't actually play guitar, you probably think that it sounds fine. But like if you do play guitar, you probably hear like, yeah, this guitar is kind of, it's very low quality and doesn't sound like how a guitar actually should. So yeah, that's Professional Racist.